Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Master Chief and Brute Chieftain 2-pack from the new Halo World of Halo scale figures from Jazwares. So basically these are World of Halo scale because they made them a little bit smaller so that they can make vehicles and probably playsets eventually down the line. They're also doing a 6-inch line of figures, so if that's kind of more your cup of tea, those are available as well. I'll probably be getting a few from each. I think they both look really good. I don't have too much experience with Jazwares, but I know that they've been responsible for all of the Fortnite action figures, and a lot of people really like those. So I have high hopes with these. I found these on Target.com. I have not seen them in store. You can see they arrived to me a little banged up, but looks pretty good for the most part. So I'm just kind of psyched. I mean, the Halo license is something that I know other companies have had kind of off and on throughout the years, but like a comprehensive Halo line in a scale that I feel like is easy to collect is something I'm very excited about. So packaging, very, very cool. Nice picture of Master Chief here on the side. Again, I played the first Halo. I haven't played all of the Halo games, but I was a huge fan of the first couple. So I love the Master Chief design, and the aliens I think look so great. Although I'm definitely getting like Gorilla Grodd vibes from this guy. I don't know why. Packaging's pretty basic. It just kind of says Halo there on the bottom. Says Halo on the side here. And it says Halo Infinite a couple places, so I'm assuming that's the game that these characters are from. And the back's very basic as well. And it's kind of funny. It doesn't even really say Jazwares anywhere. Like, I found it down here because it has Jazwares.com down here in this little bit of verbiage. But it's just kind of funny, like, how basic the packaging looks. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like it, but I just think it's funny. They don't really, it's not very ornate, which is just kind of interesting. So let's go ahead, let's get these guys out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. Alright, so here are the two figures out of the packaging, and I have to say, they look really good. I'm going to put this guy off to the side for a moment so we can focus in on Master Chief. He looks really, really cool. Really nice detailing. Paint applications look great. You can see he's got like scorch marks on his armor in a few places, which look really cool. He comes with this rifle accessory. And the other cool thing about this is you can take this out of his hand. And it's got a peg on the back so that you can peg it into his back. Just like in the game, he can have an extra weapon stored there on his back, which I think looks really cool. But the amount of articulation is really impressive. So if we take a look at this, first of all, let's look at that helmet. That is a beautiful helmet. The kind of metallic paint used for the visor looks really, really good. Head can move on a ball joint all over the place, up and down, side to side. You can see kind of an arc movement there. He does have a hinge in the shoulders, but you don't really get much articulation out of it, just because of, you know, the shoulder pads and whatnot. Plus, it's a really tight ratchet joint, which is nice. Then you have a rotation all the way around. You do have a hinge in the elbow, as you can see, as well as a rotation. You have a rotation in the wrist, as well as a hinge as well, like that. In the torso, it's kind of hard to tell what kind of articulation he has. It looks like you can move the top section here. I don't know what else of him moves in the torso there. It almost seems like that's like a limited ball joint because it can kind of move around, but it doesn't really move side to side all that much. And I don't know if it can move more, and I'm just kind of, I don't want to break it, so I'm not going to chance it. But the hips, really nice ball joint there, all the way out to the side, all the way to the front. Not so much to the back because he's got kind of a butt flap. But then you have a thigh swivel, you have a double jointed knee, which is really nice. And you can get a lot of movement out of that, as you can see. And then for the ankle, you can move that up and down, and then you have a swivel. You can really swivel at 100, or really 360. Yeah, so he's got a ton of articulation for a figure this size. I'm really impressed with him. He looks great. They also come with these little stands. So if you want to peg him in, you can peg in one foot, you can peg in both feet, however you like it. So shouldn't topple over with the stand. But the other cool thing about the stand is that they have these like honeycomb interlocking kind of things going on here. So you could get a bunch of these and make it look like the whole like battlefield, and then just peg them all in to make a pretty cool display. They're simple, but I think they work. Very cool. So yeah, I like Master Chief a lot. I'm going to go ahead and peg this into his back here. It's a pretty snug peg, so you want to be a little careful. You don't want to get it stuck in there. And I will say the ankle on mine, on this foot, this one had no problem whatsoever. This one was very tight and still is pretty tight. So it was like bent all the way down, and it was very precarious to get it back up, but I got it, and now I just kind of leave it. But I think if I used a hairdryer or something, I could probably fix it up. But yeah, he looks great. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Brute Chieftain. So this guy is absolutely massive. I mean, he is bulky, he is huge. He comes with this hammer weapon, which I think looks awesome. It's almost kind of like a hammer slash axe in one. It's very nicely detailed. It doesn't have a ton of paint applications, but very nicely detailed. Very cool. And if you want Master Chief to hold it as well, like if he gets it away from him, you can get him to hold it as well, which is really cool. So I like that quite a bit. But we'll put that off to the side. He's just massive. Like, this is loose on his head, and it's the only part about it I don't really care for. Like, it clips in place, and it'll stay as long as you don't move it around too much, but it is loose. I'm just going to take it off for the rest of the look. But it's painted nice. I mean, you can see it's got some silver, a little bit of trim there. Overall, I think it looks nice. It just kind of loosely clips onto his head. But, I mean, look at this head sculpt. That is crazy. And they gave it a bit of a black wash there to really make all the features pop. The red eyes, beautiful. Heads on a ball joint, can move all the way around. I mean, look at the armor. The paint applications, the weathering. It's all really, really nice. So he has a hinge in the shoulder as well, but you don't get much out of it just because of, again, the shoulder pads hitting into the armor. But if you put the arms a little bit out to the side where he's got a little bit more room, you can get a little bit more range of motion out of that. You do have a hinge and a rotation in the elbow. You do have a swivel in the wrist as well as a hinge in the wrist as well. And then he's got kind of a similar thing going on to Master Chief where his torso can move around, and it kind of looks like he's got two. Like, it moves here, and then it also moves up here, because you can kind of see how, like, all the parts move there. But it doesn't really, like, move all the way around. Like, I don't know if it's a ball joint in there or what. It just kind of swivels back and forth. He can kick fairly decently front, fairly decently back. Not too much as far as going out to the side. He's not doing the splits anytime soon. But the ball joint's there. It's just the fact that it's, you know, so bulky, kind of hits into the hip. But he's got a thigh swivel. Again, double jointed knee there. And then he's got kind of a rotation here in the foot from side to side. I think this also goes back a little bit, but I'd be careful with it. It doesn't seem to want to move too much. Again, just because of how bulky I think he is. But it's a really nice little figure. I think they did a great job with this. I would have loved if he could have stored this on the back, but that's a minor nitpick. Not going to worry about it too much. I wish the helmet stayed on, but again, it's kind of neat that you can knock it off, and it still looks cool. So overall, I just think he is an incredible looking figure. They did such a great job with these. I wanted to do some size comparisons real quick. Just some other random figures that I have. This is Batman from the Spin Master 4-inch line. So I would say that these guys are not 4 inches. Originally, we were told they were going to be 3 3/4 inch, 4 inches. I would say they're probably more like 4.5. I mean, if you take Master Chief and put him back to back with Batman, he's probably, I mean, do you think he might even be like a full inch taller? It's possible. I would say he's at least 4.5. I don't think he's quite 5, but I would say he's probably 4.5. Here is a Sentai Yudo figure, and I would say that they're pretty much exactly the same size. So if you have like Soto, Yudo figures, they're pretty much right in the same area. Um, Shoto is pretty much the same size as these DC figures from Spin Master, so they're all kind of in the area. It's a shame. I kind of wish these were a little bit closer. Um, but it's maybe half an inch. It's not terrible. You could still use them together, I think. And then when you look at these guys, who are even taller, I would say this guy's probably a full 5 inches. Because here is He-Man from Masters of the Universe Origins. And I would say that they're probably about the same size. And that's about 5.5 inches. So yeah, I would say, I don't know, do you think, is the Master Chief 5? No. I feel like he's probably a solid inch taller than he is. So yeah, Master Chief's probably between 4 and 4.5 if I had to guess. So let's look at these all together. Yeah, so I would say, I mean, if you take the hat off, you can see he's definitely a little bit shorter. So say maybe he's 5.5, maybe he's 5.25, maybe he's 4.5, or maybe 4.5, 5.5, something like that. That's probably about where I would put them for size. I probably could just measure them, but I don't have a ruler handy, so I apologize. But they're great looking figures. They're definitely a little bit bigger than I thought they were going to be, but still very, very cool. I think these figures are great. I think what really blows my mind is that this set is $19.99. I think $10 for each of these figures is very reasonable for what you get. I mean, with the amount of articulation, accessories, paint applications, and then just sheer size, I think it's totally worth it. I mean, when you look at this, if someone said, okay, this action figure is $10, I would have no problem with that whatsoever. For all the reasons I just mentioned, it's a good looking figure, and I think $10 is more than fair. And then when you think about the fact that this guy's in the same line, the fact that they wanted to keep these guys in scale as far as the Halo universe goes, and so they gave me this massive figure with the crazy amount of articulation and detailing and just heft, just sheer heft to this guy is mind-boggling to me. The fact that they didn't have to skimp on, paint applications or articulation or anything to give us this larger figure is really, really well done. I love that about that. So this is a great set. If you can find this, they should be showing up in stores soon, I would think, or just check Target.com. They might have them up still. I'm not sure, but I definitely recommend this 2-pack. If you're a Halo fan at all, or even just a fan of good action figures, I would definitely check into these. I do wish they were a little bit more in scale. They're a little bit bigger than I thought they were going to be, but honestly, it's a very minor nitpick, and it's not going to stop me from grabbing a bunch more of these. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.